Well, hello, Auckland. We are doing a live show in Auckland. Give us a little clap, everyone. Let them hear. Oh, yeah. So we are in the room with some of Auckland's finest. If you are listening to this, we recorded this a couple of weeks ago by the time it goes live. I'm over here in Auckland with Ryan from my team. And we're going to do a little podcast. I've hung out with a few people. I said to my team or someone, or even myself, if I can get 10 people from Auckland to come along to an event, I'll come and hang out with them. And there's just under 20 people here. So I think there's maybe one or two people that bought a ticket and didn't come. So if you're listening to this, sucked in. But anyway, we're going to do a live show with the crew in Auckland. My name is Glen James and you are listening to Money, Money, Money. Before we get into it, this show is general advice only, and I've got a license to provide that advice. Full details can be found in the show notes. I'm a former financial advisor. Now I do the Money, Money, Money podcast. If you're a regular here, we call it M3, and we do a podcast called Retire Right. I've got a book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, is available wherever good books are sold. There's a link in the show notes if you want to turn up your investing to 11, or if you're just getting started. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here today. Okay, so I've asked the peeps here to write down a few money questions. We're going to chat about it. Some of the crew here, if they want to add to the conversation, they'll put their hand up and we will pass the mic around. So at the second half, we're going to talk with two listeners in the room, Brent, Paige, maybe Aiden if we have time. And okay, first question from Louise.
Do you think not owning a house in retirement in 30 years' time will be as much of an issue as it is now, as lots of people are no longer buying a house as a standard thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. And we have this problem in the, I was going to say the US, so I'm not even from the US, from Australia, and even probably in Ireland. That's my Irish accent. Look, when you look at the foundations of retirement, and particularly in Australia, they talk about your superannuation, your pension income from the government, and your home. So I really do think the older we get, we need to have some type of housing plan in play. Do you guys have a home at the moment? No. And I'll use me as an example. I don't own a home that I live in at the moment. So I'm just renting and I've got investment properties. When I don't know, get old and stop working, don't know if I ever will, there's got to be some type of plan in my life to buy a property because I want that certainty and security. And I don't know if I'm even answering the question, but whether you are building wealth for the next 20, 30 years or having a mortgage and paying it down, you really need to have a serious think about what are you going to do when you can't work with your housing. So just a clarification, are you saying we're thinking of not owning a home and buying one later, or do you think it's possible to buy later? Like, what's some clarification?
Yeah, we've kind of calculated that when we're a lot older, maybe in our 60s or so, we'll be able to buy a house outright in cash. So just sort of wondering if that's still a good plan, or if renting in retirement might be more normalized like it is in Europe.
Yeah,
and everything's changing at the moment. Like pensions will change in 30 years' time, that sort of thing.
And I think the good thing, and I hope this, I don't know much about New Zealand, but in London, for example, and broader Europe, long-term rentals, it's a thing. Where in Australia, there's a lot of rental insecurity. So particularly for Aussies, I would encourage anyone to, at least when you stop working, to have the option to buy a house for the security factor. Because if you're getting older and having to move around, that sounds really annoying. I think the whole thing is over the next, you guys aren't 40 yet, but over the next 25 years, you've got to just be building wealth in your life. Because whether you are building wealth with an investment property or building wealth with your KiwiSaver or other investments, those growth assets are growing over time. Sure, the property market's growing over time. At least later on down the track, you can sell some of your investments that have grown as well. Because a lot of people think, I've got to buy a house so I can get in now. Well, if you invest elsewhere or buy another investment property, everything's going to be growing as well. And then you can just sell down that to buy the house. So I think it's important to, in the back of our mind, have some type of housing plan. And if you are living in a place and there is long-term rental and what's New Zealand like with the rental market? Like, do people do long-term renting here or no? It's more just camping and then they'll buy a house. Yeah, so it's certainly not London or New York. And that's it. I honestly think, particularly Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and Sydney in particular, that's just now an international city like London and New York. Like, if you want to live there, most people ain't buying. You're going to be renting. The question is, what are you going to do and what security do you want in your life at that time? And if anyone has any other comments or questions, yeah, Alex is going to maybe just leave that on, Ryan. Yeah, Alex, what?
What about rest homes? Because there are some cheap ones and includes medical care. So you wouldn't own a house, because sometimes you get older and you're deemed that you can't live alone anymore, and then you lose that house or the property, and then your kids will be fighting for so what about if you build that well, or is it feasible?
Yeah, so I think, are you talking about, like a care facility where you can't care for yourself?
Yeah, so there's a few rest homes here that I know that you pretty much, there's some group of friends that are older that they choose to move to those places, and you have your own house there, and there are nurses.
Right, so it's like an assisted
kind of a
living?
rest home. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a communal thing, right? So everyone has a little house.
Yes.
Communal area, so you dine
But
together.
do they have to buy in to that?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's the same thing, right? When we get older, so we'll make some numbers up. We work until 65 or 70. Most people who are 65 or 70 aren't anywhere near needing the care. That care might need to walk in at age 80. So you still need to build your life because the fundamentals don't change. The more money you have, the more options you have. And that option could be, okay, we're going to rent in the CBD here because we've got some people that rent right in town here. We're going to rent here. We're going to build wealth. We're going to buy investment properties. At age 60, if we're like, yep, screw this, we're not working anymore, let's buy a house, lease for the next 15, 20 years. We're not going to get evicted. We can call it home and chill. You're still in the market and you still own. If at the time where one of or both of us need care, at least you have that asset behind you still. So I think it's just an extension of, when it comes to money, more is more, and then it gives you options. Oh, best way to lower mortgage with low spare funds. Well, you might not be able to. I don't know. The best way to pay down your mortgage sooner is to put money onto it. And I'm actually working on a series. Did you write that, Brooke?
Yeah.
Give her the mic, Ryan. What? Sounds like Brooke needs to get another job. And the reason I said that, everyone, before we hit record, we had a bit of a joke about working more. So, best way to lower the mortgage with spare funds. The fundamentals don't change. The more money you have, the more options you have. And that is the option to pay more into your mortgage, to have a bigger mortgage, or to invest elsewhere. And there can be seasons in life where we don't have extra money. I am working on a series at the moment. In fact, the email that I sent yesterday or the day before to everyone, to be like, I'll do an episode and I'll see if I can get it up here on the screen. If no one, I basically come prepared. So if no one handed questions, I was going to sit here and do an episode, The 7 Fundamentals of Financial Success, simple frameworks for the money decisions that shape your life. Because I want to do this fundamentalist series. And we'll talk about work, budgeting, spending, saving, cars, property, mortgage, structure, tax. So I was going to run this episode if no one had questions. So when it comes to the mortgage, I don't have a slide ready for that, I don't think. Work, budgeting, spending, saving, cars, copies. Yeah, so I got the team to put it together. So I didn't finish it because we went and got lunch today and then I didn't get back to work. But all that to say, when you look at the fundamentals, we often get caught in watching dumb podcasts like this and other content online and looking for the quick fix and all that. There ain't no quick fix. When it comes to money, more is more. So the best way to lower the mortgage with lower spare funds, you've got a couple of options. Get rid of the mortgage, sell the house, buy something cheaper. Might not be an option, but that's fundamentally a way to do it. Give up a luxury. Do you have any luxuries, Brooke?
No.
None whatsoever.
No.
No, okay.
Not right now.
Not right now.
Hopefully soon.
So,
But that's okay because it's like what I chose to do and I'm happy doing it. But it's just balancing out, like, is it better to just ride the wave of it right now? Or is there like any tips you can give of making it like anything I could do, you know?
yeah, well, let's go back to the slide I prepared. So when it comes to doing the best thing that you can do with what you've got, it comes down, there's a big part in life that comes down to the spending. So can you have a 1% rule in your life where if you earn 85 grand a year, you're not spending more than $850 without freaking sleeping on it for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, let's slow this whole thing down a little bit. Or you might fix them out. You might say, hey, I'm not spending more than $150 without sleeping on it. The bigger the decision, the more amount of time that you need for that. Like, don't dick around with credit cards to hunt for points. Don't go and get cute and go, oh, we spend all the money on our credit card and then we let it accrue in the savings account or the offset account and then we pay because we're just optimizing it. The spending thing is if you're traveling overseas, particularly if you're in Australia, rule of thumb, don't use the big four banks' cards because the spreads on the FX rate with the big four banks in Australia, it's just way too high. So there's some rule of thumb. So I think, and sometimes, Brooke, budgeting, you need some type of system that ensures you don't spend more than you earn. Have you got a system? Yes. Yep. You got no consumer debt. You don't have buy now, pay later. Yep. You got multiple bank accounts. Have you got good structure?
Yes. Oh, only one. Yeah, lots of bank accounts.
Yep. Yep.
But only for like mortgage, spending, saving, food.
Yeah.
That's
So Brooke, a lot of people that are in our Facebook group have this problem. Like, well, how can I lower the mortgage with my low spare funds? You literally are probably living in reality that you are optimizing everything you can for this season.
And I think like the more you spoke, I've realised like I do know that anyway, but it's just nice to hear someone who knows more about money than me right now to like confirm that it's just a season and then you got to choose what you want with your life, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll just ride with it and then...
Yeah, and you told me you don't have major luxuries, so it's not as if you're spending $400 a month on something that's a want, not a need. You're probably doing everything you can for this season, and that's okay. Ooh, what are your views on passive versus managed fund investing? Give me hey, Helena. Oh, hang on one sec. We'll get Ryan to give you a mic. These are just really hard to edit, and you'll see if you watch the replay, you'll see how clean it is when it's edited. Okay, Helena.
So what I meant was the difference between passive investing and the opposite of that.
Yes. So my views on passive investing, is everyone aware of what index investing is in here? Yep. So you literally just get what the market does. There's an old-fashioned joke I used to tell people just to upset them who are like diehard index investors and passive investors. And I was like, do you realise your passive fund does less than the index after fees? Did the penny drop? Yeah. so most of my money is...
Wait, so isn't indexing passive investing?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
index is passive investing because you're not making any active decisions.
Yeah.
You're choosing to buy the index.
Active funds, that's the word.
Yes. So you've got passive versus active, or index versus managed, but yeah, I get what you're saying, active versus index investing. So most of my portfolio is index because in my life, if it goes back to the fundamentals, I'm not investing to make the most money possible, which is outrageous. Like, why not, Glen? I've set my life up so I live life on my own terms. I do what I want, when I want, how I want, all that stuff. Any money left over in my life, so I give some, save some, and spend some in that order. The save some, that means saving for the short term, if I want to buy a new lounge or something. The save is also investing for the future. I've just set my life up so any money that I save that I don't need today gets invested, and I'm personally happy with market returns with the goal to beat inflation and to beat the cash rate. So I've got a real low bar for my investment returns, because anything above that, awesome, I'll take it. But I'm literally, with my investing, I'm just parking money that Glen doesn't need today for the Glen of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't get caught up in what's the best investment or what's the best interest rate. Literally, give some, save some for the future, as long as it beats inflation and more than cash, and spend some.
So do you think the additional fees that come with active investing, is it typically probably not worth it?
Statistically, if you have a look at I got an email from the Dow Jones indices or something. There's a website. You'd know it, Brent. What's the website where they tell you it's particularly US, but I think it's Dow Jones. You go to the Dow Jones website. Should we do it now? Have a quick look. I'll show you now. So, for example, S&P Global, you go to indices. Let's just go to US equity. This might not be the website. It might not be. What I'll do, in the show notes, I'll find it and I'll put a link in the show notes and in the YouTube comments. There's basically a website that tells you the benchmarks for all active funds versus passive funds. And on aggregate, only 20% of active funds outperform the benchmark. Yeah.
So would you say that's kind of similar when it comes to super, or can we say that?
Yeah, you'd have to look at the individual funds, but if you're talking just like, and I don't know a lot of the options, but with the KiwiSaver, but for example, so you've heard of small cap funds and micro cap funds. So they're like the companies that, so if the New Zealand Stock Exchange, how many's on the whole exchange in New Zealand?
50.
No. So there's the top 50. If it's, yeah, 120. So for example, between you got the top 50, between maybe 80 to 120, that would be relatively small companies, right? There is a very strong argument for small cap and micro cap companies that the active managers do better than the indexed managers for the small cap, because you can really look at a small company, go, that's onto a winner there, we're going to buy that, rather than buying a percentage of all of them. So there are different sectors where it can make sense. So my portfolio, I've got some active Australian small cap funds which do better than the index.
Okay.
Another example could be bonds. Mm-hmm. So you'd want to look at an active bond fund so they can actively trade the short and long-term bonds within the fund rather than buying the index. So they're my views on active versus passive.
I think I would just stick with passive.
Yeah, and it's totally fine unless you've got a portfolio service that, like I've got, that does some active in the right spot. A lot of Australian super funds they will invest, so they'll have a fund that might be 70% growth and 30% defensive. They will invest a heap in unlisted assets. So it's really not really active or passive. It's completely like, we're going to buy that shopping center or that airport.
Yep.
And we had a question in the Retire Right Facebook group the other day. Someone was like, how do I compare my super fund versus this other fund? It was like, good luck comparing, because there's not many funds that you can buy off the shelf that have Brisbane Airport in the portfolio. So yeah, the stuff with comparing investments, if you've got a KiwiSaver blended portfolio that is 70% growth, 30% defensive, and then you've got another KiwiSaver portfolio that is 70% growth, 30% defensive, you've got to have a look just not at the headline percentages. You've got to actually have a look at within that 70% growth, what percentage is actually New Zealand equities, Australian equities, or broader international, to make sure the asset allocation lines up within the growth portions. So it's a big bit of string to pull if you want to start comparing funds.
No, I want to do it the laziest way possible.
Yeah, and I get that. You're my person. Thank you, Helena.
Morningstar can be quite good to compare KiwiSaver funds. So they look at multi-sector funds, balanced growth, aggressive, and some of those ones. So it's quite good to look at. And you can also compare the average fees as well by KiwiSaver provider.
Yeah, because I have looked at some of the fees and I think I'm just going to stick with what I have for now.
Yeah, and often thanks, Brent, the best thing to do with your investing, I was talking about this yesterday on the podcast. If someone literally started investing and they just had an ETF that was the NZ50 and that's all they did, and they fully understood it and they fully got it, awesome. But then you can turn on the optimization tap. Well, you could invest in international shares because it's a bigger world out there if you wanted the further diversification. But if someone was like, nope, I love New Zealand, love my NZ50, going down with the ship, it's not a bad thing to just have that fund in your life. I mean, it flies in the face of diversify and make sure you've got some property or some fixed interest or some international shares. But if you can hang your hat on it, you understand it, and you know potentially other choices out there and you might not choose to do that, that's okay. But you just got to realize you live by the sword and you die by the sword. Further to my rant, when you look at people like Warren Buffett, they don't really diversify much. Owns half of Apple, or he sold most of it now. But so his whole vibe was diversification sucks, but he's also a freak and says that most of us should just do basic index funds. But he would live by the sword and die by the sword. What would your perfect day look like? What do you need to change for your perfect day to happen? Who asked me that? Olivia. Oh, my perfect day is probably waking up without an alarm clock to start with. And my definition of success, when people say, what's your definition of success and have you achieved it? I say to live life not needing an alarm clock most of the time. And I've met that definition of success. It's not a money thing. I get that most of the time, except this morning I had to set it for 8 a.m. because I was meeting Ryan. And I didn't want to oversleep in a different time zone. And then it's probably going to a cafe, because I'm not a morning person. Are there any afternoon, evening people here with me? Yeah. I'm pretty much in a foul mood until about 2 p.m. So any recording that we do in the studio, my team know it, the calendar, if people want to book it in, I do not do any recording before 11 a.m. to start with. So perfect days, probably get up when I wake up and I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about all that stuff. Maybe go to a cafe, have a nice coffee, do the email thing and, get up to speed on that. Perfect day might be meeting some friends at the boat ramp and jumping on the boat. I don't, and it's probably more my personality. I don't have like, I work and I go home and then I do the weekend. My life is just everything's in the one thing. So I could have a day where I go to work, catch up with friends, do a podcast episode, go on the boat. Like everything is mashed together. And is it good or bad? Not sure, but it works for me. As long as I've got the option to control my calendar, that's a good day and a good week. So do you have do you want to share an example of your perfect day?
I work for the government, so I'm pretty limited in what I can do. It's
The perfect day, not working. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Olivia. Ooh, what is the best investment to make in your 20s? Who wrote that one? Jess. How old are you, Jess?
I'm 23.
23. So awesome. You're at a boring money night, so thank you. It's what do you think?
I asked that because I don't even define investment as in it has to be a money investment. So I was actually just wanting to gauge your initial reaction.
Okay. My initial reaction, if I look back at, and for those who have just met me, I'm pretty honest and open on my podcast. A lot of people close to my life might listen to a show and they're like, I didn't know all that was happening. I'm like, if you want to know about me, just listen to my show. I'll tell you. I think the best investment that you can make in your 20s is fully understanding and knowing who you are and how you operate. The last 20 years, because I'm officially like old now, has been a borderline train wreck for me personally. I personally believe, looking in, it probably doesn't seem that way. But I read a book a couple of years ago called Attached, and it's about the attachment theory, right? Where you loved as a child or all that stuff. And I've got avoidant attachment style. And that has wrecked so many relationships. Like well-meaning, like I look back, I get emotional because it's like, if only I knew that when I was in my 20s. And it's not to change it, it's just to fully know who you are and how you operate and how you respond to things that happen. Because once you know that, you've got the manual to your life. You've got your operating manual. Then you can work on it. So for me now, I know with the avoidance stuff, I can sense it happening. And even like last night, I was at Sim's house for dinner and, you know, going through like working out who I am, I set rules in my mind that have just made up out of nowhere, right? And I get anxious because I've set these rules. And it was like 9 p.m. and they're chill. We just had dinner and dessert. And I'm like, all right, I've got to go. Like, I've still got this reset that I need to get out of here. Is that avoidant? And I was like, hang on. No, they're chill. We're just chatting. I don't actually need to leave. So for me, it's complicated, but I got to the point where you have these thoughts and your mind plays tricks on you. And I just wish I knew that in my 20s. That as well that's what it feels like to have crippling anxiety and depression. Like, it's a thing. So I reckon if you can sort that out, you'll be more confident to make the right decisions. You'll be better in relationships, like romantic and otherwise. Like, it's so weird. I had a dumb rule in my head that, we've finished dinner, just had a nice dessert. I've got to leave now because they don't want me here. But it's like, no, they're happy. They're fine. They're like, no, everyone's chill. So that is the best thing to invest in your 20s. And property. But then it's probably not even that. It's knowing who you are, how you operate, how you deal with situations. I'll put a link in the show notes to the book Attached. I think everyone needs to read it. Then throw it at your partner and say, which one are you? I know who you are, but which one? And go sort that out. And it's not about, and this is just anecdotal in my life, it's not about me wanting to change, because at the moment I don't have a relationship. It's not about wanting to change the other person or change you. It's knowing how each other operates. And it's just, I wish I could turn back time and read that book in my 20s. I think, but we're here now, hey? In New Zealand on a Wednesday night, alone in my room. So, and then you do that, then your career. Because your income is the biggest asset that you've got in your life, and you need to fully understand. If I go back to my fundamentals slide, work, I put the first one. Understand income is the biggest wealth tool. You spend a lot of time at work, make sure you don't hate it. Like, if you hate your job, what are you doing? It's not easy, but it's worth it. Put a plan in place to get the hell out of there. It might not happen tomorrow or next week, but why are we doing something where we spend so much flipping time and we don't like it? Another thing, Jess, you are the only one who can advocate for your career. Your bosses care and they think you're awesome, but that you are the only one that can actually be your advocate to set up your life. And then make sure you're aware of the differences between your current job and your career. Did I write that right? Between your current job. Maybe that's not written good England, but it's more your career is your profession and your life. Within that, there are jobs. So if you're a nurse and you're working at the private hospital and this is a true story, a friend of mine, registered nurse, private hospital in Australia. She was the highest ranking medical person there overnight, and because there's no doctors at this private hospital, they would get in trouble if they called one of the doctors in at night. Oh, was it that urgent? It's like, it's someone's life. Like, if the doctor has to come out, the hospital can freaking pay for it. All that to say, if you're a registered nurse at a private place and it sucks because you're getting in trouble for just trying to help people, you might have to go and be a registered nurse in the public system. So that's the job within the career. So, yeah, that's what I would say to that investment. Was that a satisfactory answer as my initial response?
Yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised because I feel like a lot of people would take that as a financial thing. And I think it's hard in the 20s. I don't think finances don't get any easier as you get older. But it is a confusing time because everyone's at different levels. So it's good to know that everyone's on the same page that invest in yourself.
Yeah, and as well, like if you go back to this fundamental stuff I'm talking about, in your 20s, if you just make the fundamental rule that I don't do consumer debt, I don't do credit cards and don't get cute trying to chase points, I don't do buy now, pay later, just have guardrails and just use that as a habit. I still don't use a credit card for day-to-day expenses because I'm Glen, I'm a recovering spender. And if I've got access to 20K, actually, I do have a card that I take overseas because I went to hire a car once and I didn't have a credit card and it was freaking hell. Gosh. Anyway, applied for this card. They approved it, $70,000 limit. And I'm like, why? This is just gouging. Someone like me getting my hand on a bit of free money, baby. And so it can just compound. So I've still got a rule for day to day. I just use my Visa debit. I'm not chasing points, not getting cute. I don't care. So in your 20s, it's awesome because you find out who you are, how you operate, know that your career is the best thing, know that you are the only one who can ever advocate as much for your career as anyone else. Most places won't rock up and say, hey, everyone, you're all getting a pay rise today. Most places don't do that. And then with the money side of it, set some real ground rules. It's like, I just don't do this. If I don't have the money, I don't buy it. Pretty simple. I save up and pay cash for cars. Pretty simple. I invest 10%, at least 20% of what I get into investments or into a long-term savings. And in your 20s, have a goal and have intention because the time's passing anyway. Just aim for something. Just be like, my name's Jess. Don't heaps have a goal at the moment, but my goal is to save 50 grand. Like, just be locked into some type of goal. Because if the time comes in 3 years' time and you got 45 grand and the opportunity comes up, I can buy this house or whatever, I can change goals. I got the money there. But yeah, be really intentional. I could do, I reckon I could do a 2-hour talk to people in their 20s to like really encourage them and to like lock in. And the good news is, put your hand up if you're not in your 20s. You old dogs. Look at you all. Flipping old dogs. Guess what? Put your hand on your neck. If there's not a heartbeat there, just let us know. We'll call. Is it 112 in New Zealand or 911 or 111? 111. There you go. We'll call someone. But tomorrow's a new day. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? You know, in the Retire Right Facebook group, I did a survey. And I was asking people that were like over 60, what do you wish you knew that you did differently? So people in their 60s and 70s are saying, we wish we paid off our house sooner. We wish we just bought an investment property. We wish we put more money into our superannuation. Hello, if you're in your 40s here or in your 30s, you are living in a time where so many people wish they could turn back the clock. So all I do in my life, I do the Glen of tomorrow a favour today. And even at the moment, so I'm a filthy capitalist pig and it's dripping off me, I get that. This is going to be wild. Because I'm actually quite a conservative person, right? And because I am a filthy capitalist pig, I'm like, I reckon the Glen in 5, 10 years or 20 years probably wishes he bought another property now. I could buy another investment property tomorrow. I can't be bothered because I hate doing all the paperwork and get all my stuff together. But I'm thinking I just need to do it now, as annoying as it is. So the Glen of tomorrow, I've gone back in time and bought that property today. So that's my challenge. So you've got to do a more, is that how I pronounce it? Yeah. A more a favour tomorrow, today. And that goes for everything, with your health, with your fitness, with your money. Because I'm 41 now and far out. If I knew what I knew now in my 20s, I would have made a lot more money. Because I would have been a lot more confident and like really didn't have the imposter syndrome and all that stuff. I was telling everyone before we hit record, like, I sometimes feel like a fraud because I suck at managing money. But I can suck at something but outsource it to systems and processes to help me. I'm not perfect. I still slip up every now and again. But I know when I slip up, I'm still investing money for tomorrow. I'm not doing it with debt. And that sucked, but whatever. Get over it. All right, we'll be back right after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au. And they'll point you in the right direction.
All right, we're back. Paige, thanks so much for coming to the event tonight.
Thank you for coming to New Zealand. We all appreciate it. Thank you.
I live to give.
Yes.
All right, Paige, We're going to do a quick 10-minute chat with you, and then we'll talk with Brent. What's your shtick? Tell me about you.
30-year-old, live like rural New Zealand, studying quantity surveying, did an unpaid internship over summer, work at part-time at my old cleaning job, and I'm a solo parent to a 5-year-old.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was money like for you growing up, and why are you interested in like a money podcast and all that stuff?
It's not something we ever like openly talked about, I guess. It was just something that wasn't like mentioned. We weren't like, I would say we weren't like that well off, but Mum always made things work. So we had whatever we wanted and we could do whatever we want. But like it just wasn't spoken about, which I think is probably pretty normal as well.
And have you always had an interest in personal finance, or did it come to was there a flashpoint in your life where you're like, oh, here's a money podcast, or I'm interested? Like,
yeah, I'm a saver by nature, and so like always easy to save some money, and then I won't spend it on myself. But like I can save and like happy to lend money to friends and family without a question. But like yeah, it just stops there, and then like you just end up with a bit of a pile of money, and you're like, what am I doing with this? Like, are we going anywhere? Is it just going to sit in a bank? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So what are your current financial goals?
In the process of selling a house. And so then I am just going to put the money in a term deposit until I'm finished studying, because I will probably find good uses for it that aren't like ideal.
So when you sell the house,
Mm-hmm.
are you like, will you rent somewhere, or can you live with other family? What's the living situation while you're studying?
So we live in a tiny home down the back of my friend's farm.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you're selling the caravan?
No,
No.
it's a 3-bedroom house in a city.
A 3-bedroom tiny home?
Oh, no. Like it's a house on a section, but I just don't live in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have a house and home.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the one that you're selling is an investment property?
No. No, because
Is anyone else confused here?
Yeah, like in my life's
All right.
a mess.
I need a
yes.
whiteboard,
Okay, all right.
some holy water, a priest, and a
Yeah.
police officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
So you've got one home,
Yeah.
and that is you're not living in it, or you are?
No, so me and my little sister bought a house together, 50-50.
Right.
And her and her husband live in it, and
Yep.
her and her husband are buying me and her out.
Right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so then I'm just going to put my money in a term deposit, because we've got our tiny home. We love it there.
Yeah.
We
So
get-
you're living on a tiny home on a friend's block of land.
Yeah.
With your daughter or son?
Yeah,
Yep.
daughter.
Cool. So you're in the process of like, okay, I'll sell that because I own half of it, put the money on term deposit, live on the tiny home,
Yep.
finish your study,
Yep.
and then work out what you want to do.
Yeah. Hopefully buy my own land, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. And how much is land worth where you'd want to, and would you say buy your own land to live on another little tiny shack?
Yeah, depends on the banks basically
Right.
as to what's possible.
Yeah.
But I would like a few acres, because I also happen to have like 3 horses.
Oh, wow.
So I need.
Sounds expensive.
This is it. I'm like, I need enough land for them to eat some grass and
Yeah.
be angry at the world. But yeah. So
So when do you think you're finishing study?
November.
Cool. And then will you, so in terms of what you want to do, because there's different occupations within that field, isn't there? Like, where do you want to head?
Ideally commercial.
Yeah.
But I'm.
So that's valuation of commercial?
Yeah, like just pricing how much it will take to get the building built, or the
Right.
office fit out revamped, or
Or working out square meterage and doing those
Yeah.
types of reports.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So how do you, and I'm just randomly finding questions here to ask. So at the moment, how are you balancing your priorities with the future and your lifestyle now, given that you've got the horses, you've got the tiny home, you're a mum, like you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does chaos follow you?
Yeah, like I think I create it though. I'm happy to put my hand up and say like, my bad, like it's all mine. Like
I vibe that.
yeah. I'd say the horses and my dog are the today's fun because you can, like, grazing doesn't change. It's a fixed cost, whether I'm horse riding 0 times or 7 times a week.
Yep.
So that's my like today joys. And then like just putting like education, putting time into that, putting time into the internship.
So you're 30.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that what were you doing before you started studying?
Working as a cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you still doing that? You just say?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's cool because that's just putting food on the table while you repivot.
Yep.
But I mean, I just think it's so amazing for someone who's 30 and going, you know what? I do want something different. You know what? I do have a child. I need to stand up and be intentional with my life. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because in 4 years' time, you're going to be in a new career. You're going to have a really good income. You're going to have more options. And I think it's that's why I love talking to people like this, because if you are out there and you're listening, and we talked before about your job, if you don't like it, you've got an option. Keep doing it and keep hating it, or make a plan to change. Pick one. It's okay. And it might be really hard to pivot your career. It might take 3 or 4 years. But in 5 years' time, you'll be glad you did it. The time's going to pass anyway. So.
Yeah, definitely. And it was like something you actually said, like, I want to say it was you and Shao. And I was like, I loved my job as a cleaner because I literally would just listen to a podcast walking around an office building for 40 hours a week.
So I've cleaned a lot of offices in New Zealand, have I?
Yeah, and it's like so good because I was like, oh shit, my shift's finished. Sorry for swearing.
It's all right. It's your reputation, not mine.
Oh, that's fine then. But yeah, I was like, I love my job, but I'm at the ceiling and it's not moving. I have to move for it to, like, for the growth that I want.
Yeah, because as I was saying to Jess, was it? Yeah, you're the only one that can advocate for your career because there'll always be a cleaning job there.
Yeah,
and if you love doing cleaning, awesome, keep doing it.
Yeah,
but if not, you have to advocate and make the change. All right, reflections, questions. What's the best thing you've ever done? Do you think? It doesn't have to be money related.
Figured out who I am pretty early on. So
yeah, like we were talking about before.
Yeah, like I back myself even when it's a wrong choice kind of thing. I know I did the best with what I had at the time, and like so like learning who I was pretty young.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was there ever a significant turning point in your financial mindset or position and what did you learn from it? So over the last, say, 10 years of being an adult, was there anything that's like, far out, that thing happened, I need to make a change?
Nothing that comes to mind.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Would you give any advice to your younger self? If yes, what would it be?
Yeah, but like wouldn't be money advice. It would just be like use the float more because like there's always jobs to be done. Like there's always jobs.
Yeah.
But like on a sunny day, you can just push the jobs and go for a horse ride with your mates. Like go do the thing you love.
Live.
Yeah, like go do that stuff.
Yeah, I've always fallen into I'm a human doing, not a human being. So I think it's just important to slow down and live. Yeah. Finally, if your best friend asks you for money advice, what would you tell them?
Recommend this. Like, go listen to M3. Like, because I probably don't go to me.
It's good advice. I'll give you advice. Don't do anything I've done.
Go find professionals or better people.
And do you have any type of random PSA or comment that you'd want to make to anyone listening about any topic at all?
I think like we've kind of already covered it with the like learn who you are and what you want out of your life kind of scenario.
Yeah, because I reckon the money crap will always work itself out, and there's a high chance and a high correlation of you being good with money. If you know who you are, you know what you're about, you're intentional, and you're out there happening to life, not being a victim. Life's hard. We all go through crap, but you've got a choice, as House said. I'm binging that off and on at the moment. Did anyone watch House, the Dr. House show? He's like, you got two choices, be good or get good. And I'm just like, that's such good advice, isn't it? Paige, thank you so much for jumping on for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for coming.
you.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right, give her a hand, everyone. All right, we got 5 minutes. Have a chat with Brent. Everyone still chill. Okay, now we have not Paige, Brent. All right, Brent, what's your shtick?
Yeah, so I'm 31, live here in Auckland. By day, I'm a head of data at a lending company here in New Zealand.
Boring.
And by night, I do a YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
less exciting than Superman, where you sort of have your alter ego by night.
Yeah. So head of data at a lending. So is it like a big bank, or is it a private mortgage fund? Or
I used to be part of ANZ.
Right.
We got spun off to a Japanese bank, but we do asset lending. So cars,
Right.
all the consumer debt you're probably not a fan of, but we do business debt as well, which helps businesses grow.
yeah. I've grown my business without any debt, which I'm proud of, everyone.
No fixed assets.
No.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Well, no, I just did a fit out of my studio.
Yep.
So I just did 2 of the studios in the new office, probably cost over 200 grand. And I could have done it right away and just went, stuff it, I'll just get a loan. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing for lending, but and that's a personality play, right? I would rather do it slower and more conservative and cash flow it than carry around debt, because I just don't love debt.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then, so how long have you been in Auckland?
6 years.
Right. Oh, where were you before then?
Singapore. So I did my university over there.
Oh, so why Singapore?
Scholarship. Yep. They gave me one option and that was it, but not a bad one.
So were you born in Singapore?
Born in New Zealand.
Okay, so you were born in New Zealand, went to Singapore, then came back and landed in Auckland?
Yep. So my wife, girlfriend at the time, she decided she wasn't such a fan of Singapore and wanted to move back. So
yeah, a bit humid
back
for
we
me.
came.
Yeah. And then, so wife at the time, tell us about your life and situation.
Yeah, so married, no kids. We've both bought property, but we're living in her one.
Okay.
Bigger house. I lost that battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're currently, living in Auckland. We're very happy. She runs her own business from home. So while I'm waking up at 7 a.m. to come to the city, she's fast asleep. So there is that jealousy factor where she's self-employed.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of contrast in our life.
So you're waking up at 7 a.m. to come to the city. Is that because you're like, I go to the gym in the city and do all that? Or do you live a bit...
Auckland traffic.
Auckland traffic, is it? That's funny, yeah, because I caught an Uber last night to go over the bridge. I'm like, yeah, I'll be there in 10. Freaking 20 minutes to leave the CBD at 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, I'm coming. Yeah, cool. And so talk to us about your side hustle / YouTube. You do personal finance content?
It is, yeah.
For New Zealanders?
Yep. So personal finance, investing, buying your first home, that kind of content.
Yeah. And so what's the channel called?
Brent Coleman, just my name.
How do you spell your surname?
Coleman.
Brent Coleman. All right. Give him a like and subscribe and all that
perfect.
on YouTube.
There we go.
So had you listened to my show before or followed me on podcast or YouTube?
A few episodes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you thought I would come along tonight and just check it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
So and I'm happy to always have a good chat. Actually, I met someone yesterday. I actually apologized to the person after because I met someone and like, oh, what do you do? Like, they work for this company. And I'm like, it was similar to a thing. It'd be like if I met you for the first time, like, hey, Brent, what do you do? And Brent was like, I've just had a buy now, pay later startup. Like, that's my whole business and life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm allergic to that. I think it's a fraud.
Yeah.
Anyway, met this guy. He said what he did. I'm like, that's like the crappiest thing in the world. And I never recommended them on the planet, but awesome.
Yeah.
And I said, I've apologized later because I'm like, that's the worst thing to do. You meet someone for the first time, they tell you what they do, and you're like, I 100% disagree with everything that you do in your life.
Well, a good dealer doesn't consume their own product, right?
That's right. Hey, so based on what you've heard about my stuff, is there anything that you fundamentally have a different view on? If you know enough
earlier
about
you
me.
said about consumer debt. So I quite like my credit cards.
Yes.
So we can't do a lot in New Zealand, but there are some cards that do have advantages.
Yep.
And the thing that I always live by is that I always have that cash in hand. So
Yes.
as soon as that bill comes up after 44, 55 days, I can always clear that debt. So
Yep.
for me, it's something that I sort of veer, I guess, into.
Are you but you're a saver by nature, are you?
My wife would say yes. I would say no.
Right.
So when she met me, I was quite stingy. I had my financial goals to sort of save up my deposit, buy my first home. But since that goal has been achieved, I'm a little bit looser now.
Yeah.
That makes her a lot happier.
Yeah, and I think, and this is the whole thing, right? For example, I invest in some pretty wild stuff that I don't talk about on the show because I'm in a different financial acumen level. And if I said to everyone, and this is an example, everyone, oh, go buy this crypto coin, you print money and all that. We're recording, so I can't actually tell you people some cool stuff. I might tell you some cool stuff later. But I think the reason is, for me, it's almost like I'm the parent who can consume alcohol responsibly. And I know when, I can just have 2 at dinner, and I'm trying to tell my teenage kids, it's like, probably just don't worry about alcohol for now, just worry about developing. So I think that's kind of my vibe when I talk about money. I just have to be like, broadly, credit cards are made to do one thing only, and that one thing is to
Spend
keep going.
Spend more than you would otherwise.
To make money for the credit provider, the bank.
Yep.
So we need to know, and a friend of mine, Dirty Mike, he's a friend of mine, he's called Mike, from the movie The Other Guys. Have you seen The Other Guys?
Yep.
And there was Dirty Mike and the boys, where they would have orgies in the Prius. So it was like Dirty Mike, the homeless guy, would have orgies in the Prius. So my friend Mike, we just called him Dirty Mike, just from that movie, and it stuck with him. And even friends, little girls who were like 8 and 10 years old were like, hey, Dirty Mike. Like, he's just known as Dirty Mike. Funny thing was, when he started dating Jolie, she drove a Prius. So he was actually driving around in a Prius. So we would joke with Dirty Mike that, I've just got, 10,000 free credit card points or whatever it was. And Dirty Mike was like, I just paid $100 in interest on my credit card debt. So we know on balance that the credit cards are made for the reason that the banks make money on balance. So the reason I teach and personally live by this, I don't use credit for day-to-day and do the point thing because on balance, the data says there's a higher chance of me spending more. And even back to the fundamentals that we talked about earlier, if I lived a perfect, chill, fundamental life where I didn't have credit card, I can still be very financially successful and not get the 1 or 2% optimizing that you might get by doing it your way, because I know I'm interviewing you, but I'm just like counterpointing. Because most people will say, we do this with our credit cards, and most of them who say that actually overspend and suck at it. So you're likely in a very small percentage who actually use it responsibly because it's a tool. Yeah. So that's just the premise of why I don't advocate doing that. Anything else?
No, that's pretty good on credit cards.
Yeah. But that's it. Do what you want, absolutely. But if you paid a cent in interest on a credit card since you've had one, they're not for you. and there is just a higher chance that it's the risk spectrum. It's like, so if you went out for dinner with 8 people and you're like, everyone, I'll get the bill and I'll swipe it. And we've all done this. I'll swipe it, I'll get the points. One person never ends up paying you back and you don't chase it up. So you're already out of balance in that way.
I'm a banker. I keep
yeah,
my
I bet,
records.
yeah. But everyone's not like you, Brent, remember. So that's why when we're talking, I guess, public policy with money, it's just, I think you can live a good life without using credit cards. But if you want to use one, knock yourself out. I mean, I use one in the business and I use one if I'm overseas for hire cars, but that's about it. All right. What's your other kind of shtick for the, like, you may as well promote your YouTube show.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you like talking about?
Talk about everything. Like KiwiSaver is a really good topic here in New Zealand.
Yeah. Do most Kiwis optimize that?
No, we've got about 40% of people in default funds, which are the ones that you get just for signing up. So that's not optimized. That's just what the government gives you. So,
but there's no real incentive, is there, to use it like there is in Australia?
To use
the KiwiSaver.
There is. There's a employer contribution, which most companies will give you on top of your salary.
Of 3%?
3%, yep.
So if I get a job in New Zealand, my employer will say, hey, Glen, we're paying you 80 grand a year. And this 3% on top of that, we can give that in your KiwiSaver or in your bank account? Or is it
just KiwiSaver?
Okay.
But some companies will give you 80 grand package.
Yes.
So then you pay twice, which is the trick. And you're taxed at your marginal tax rate on both.
Right. Is KiwiSaver, is that 3% compulsory?
If you're a part of the scheme and contributing, it is 3% minimum.
Right. But there's no internal tax advantage in KiwiSaver, is there?
No. There's a lot of sort of things that happen overseas where you're taxed at withdrawal or you sort of have 15% in Australia. There's no real tax advantages with KiwiSaver in New Zealand.
What's the sell then for people to use it? The employees will give you 3% into it.
And the government contribution of 260.
Yeah, I mean, please. I mean, this is the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
and Australia's probably gone too heavy with super. Like, we've got $4 trillion in super.
Ours is 145 billion, so ours is much smaller.
Yeah, and like most people getting to age 65 and they've got $1 million in their super fund, they could they've just lived the last 40 years on $1,000 a week and they own their home, rock up, stop working, I got over $1 million, got way too much money. They're not used to spending it. They don't spend it. And they've got a better standard of living in retirement, where a lot of people in Australia are like, well, F my retirement, I need a house now. Don't need it at age 65.
Yeah.
So
one thing in New Zealand as well is that we can withdraw for our first home purchase.
That's
so
right.
That sort of ruins the compounding cycle. But it is something that gets you on the ladder, which is something good that I guess you can use it or you don't have to use it for that purpose.
So for the 3 New Zealanders that listen to this show.
Well, there's 20.
Well, no, but not everyone here listens. Like Alex has never heard of me before. And
I mean, these are guaranteed views. We're going to watch back. We were in the crowd, right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, before I remember, Paige, thanks for coming on. That's a $50 JV voucher. And thank you, Brent,
for
participating. So what would you tell a young New Zealander listening? They rock up today, they hear this, like, I've got a job. How do I manage my money better? What do I do to be financially successful? How does a Kiwi tell another Kiwi?
Well, I guess getting started as soon as possible is good.
In what?
With investing.
Okay.
So when you get your first job, your first salary, if you can put some aside, and KiwiSaver is probably a good vehicle for that, it's definitely a good place to start because it's time in the market, not timing the market or anything like that, right? So if you're 18 and your first job, it's probably quite good to start in KiwiSaver, put in your 3%. That'll compound and become much bigger over
Can
time.
I put more in than 3%?
can, yep.
How much a year?
Does anyone know? 12?
It's unlimited, but there's no benefit.
That's right. And the only way I can get money out of KiwiSaver is to buy my first home, or turn age 65, or hardship. Yeah.
But there's very strict rules around hardship and also buying a new home.
Yeah. What's the deal? They've just really stuffed that, haven't they? The Kiwis.
Yeah, I mean, when it launched, because I looked at this recently, it was $1,000 from the government, $1,000 from your employer, when you put in $1,000. It was $1,042 or something. So over time, we've had a lot of governments come through and change the rules. Like we had the member tax credits used to be, better. We used to have better taxation on the employer contribution. There was a lot of things that were quite good. $1,000 kickstart, if everybody remembers. So there's been a lot of changes over years, which have made it a lot worse, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you're saying to someone in their 20s that just rocked up or any age, start investing.
Yeah. And KiwiSaver is a good sort of general product that we have in New Zealand that does put your money away that you can't touch it later. If you've got a propensity to have some investments
spendy.
and then go, but I could use it for this other thing, it's not going to compound over a lifetime for retirement.
Actually, let's ask Brent. Did you write that question?
Yeah, that looks like my handwriting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll ask you, what is one piece of financial advice that sucks?
I think I wrote that for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, probably credit cards. Everything, the way that Brent lives his life, I categorically disagree with and don't do it myself. You can do it yourself, though, because I'm sleeping just as well tonight with whatever anyone does.
Yep.
But that goes back to knowing who you are
Correct.
And how you operate.
Yeah, so that's why I was interested in what you had to say on it. But I will answer. So generally people would say you should spend less than you earn.
Yeah.
With my wife, she lives by the abundance mindset.
Oh, God.
So
she happened to do essential oils as well.
Yeah. So I grew up in...
So are you serious?
Yes. That. But
MLM, hun.
In the sense that you're
Hi,
more...
Brent's wife. Hi.
The more you spend, the more that the world gravitates towards you.
Okay, you can't make this stuff up. I love it. Keep going.
So it's not in a reckless way. It's that you should live of the standard that you expect to get to one day. So if you wear nice clothes, you bring opportunities to you through that. I'm not explaining it terribly well.
No, but I get the gist.
It has worked well for her in terms of... Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to speak on behalf of people that will talk to, they're not here, but hypothetically, would one be in that camp of manifestation?
It is, yeah.
Does everyone know what I think of manifestation? Has anyone heard me talk about it? Do you want? What's that?
I love it and you're very proud.
Yeah, I love manifesting. My whole thing is I don't see many people manifesting world hunger going away. I don't see many people manifesting helping the homeless community in their own city. I just think it's a little bit self-indulgent and selfish. And if it was real, why don't we manifest some stuff that isn't about us? However, I will say, I do believe in a mindset that is, I can actually, if I focus on something, there'll be subliminal thing that I will likely achieve it. Because we talked about it earlier, I don't know if we were recording or not, but like focused intensity on the one thing. So I get the shtick. I just don't like the word because it's like magic type, and that's BS, I think. But I do get it, because if you, for example, put on the top of your door on your mirror, I want to save $10,000, and that's all you kind of focused on, that would really help in your life to make decisions that, well, before I go to JB Hi-Fi, well, spending this $300 on these headphones bring me closer to the $10,000 goal or further away. So it will inherently kind of help. Yeah, cool.
What's your view on it? Not manifestation.
Oh, the one piece of financial advice that sucks. Yeah, I think it would be actually and you'd probably get this with your YouTube channel, right? And I'll ask you, and I'm not trying to set tripwires, but if someone's like, how do I invest, right? I just want to get started with investing. The advice that sucks, and particularly in Australia, is people jump on and they say on their all right, sweet, well, you've just got to get a chest brokered sponsor because that's better than this, and you need to build a portfolio of like these 3 ETFs and all that. Like, chill the F out. Just tell them to go and buy VAS on Sharesies and get on with their life. So for me, the advice sucks that when I see people give people advice who are just getting started investing, they're not realizing that the people that are just getting started with their investing are like you who've been doing it for 5 years. Do you find that with some of your new listeners? So how would you tell a new listener to start investing?
Yeah, so you're sort of saying starting with the specific ETFs, do a VAS, do a VTI,
just
like
do
that,
something. Just do literally a one-stop shop. Even if you just bought an NZ Top 50 ETF, because at least they're in the market, at least they're diversified. Just do that for a while and get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I follow the core satellite now. When I was sort of during COVID, the chaotic times, sort of picking all my satellites, all these stocks, this one will go well, that one will go well. And it didn't work so well for me, of course. They all collapsed at some point. But core satellite works really well, where you have 80% in your core ETFs and things, and then you can have your satellites, your little strategic plays, as you mentioned, the little cryptocurrency that might go off, or the company like Rocket Lab, which might go to the moon. Literally.
But I think maybe I'm just more of I really want to help people get started, and I hate seeing people throw all this stuff from an advanced or intermediate level and telling them you need to do this, but they're just confusing the person more.
I mean, a really good way is just do a little bit and do it often.
Yeah.
It's probably a good way to start with dollar cost averaging.
Yep.
You're just doing these little $50 a week, $20 a week, whatever you can afford.
Yeah.
Just a little bit to get started, get your feet wet.
Yeah.
And you can sort of build from there and do something a bit more advanced later on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are you more, and I think, and maybe the daylight between us as two money creators, it sounds to me that you're more like investing content, or are you a bit of everything?
Bit of everything, really. I mean, the Australia versus New Zealand is doing really well. The contrast, it's a really topical topic. New Zealand at the moment, where there is this divide of salaries between New Zealand and Australia, is it actually a good move or is it not? That's a really good sort of topic.
Because I think I'm like, and I've just been thinking recently for myself, like I'm just doing personal finance, and my unique skill is helping people come from a standing start or behind or in a mess, get on the right track. And that's why I've done like the Sound Financial House, the Glen James spending plan. So the more I do this stuff, the more I just want to focus on the bread and butter stuff. And like Nick, who wrote the Quick Start Guide to Investing with me, that book, he did the advanced stuff on buying options and all that crap that I don't do. And core and satellite, I don't really do that myself because I'm just stick to my knitting. So all that to say, any methods you can suggest to help with curbing unnecessary or impulsive spending?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How do I help compulsive or unnecessary spending?
I think having different accounts is really good, because if you've got different accounts, one for rent, one for food, one for travel, you'll be more hesitant to take money out. Whereas if it's a shared fund in a single bank account, that little bit for brunch, that little bit for this, you will deplete those funds. But if it's your travel account, you'll be more hesitant to take money out of it, I feel.
Yeah. I often think it's like the analogy I talked before, to be very dialed in, and it's like, did I wake up this morning planning to buy this set of new headphones? If the answer is no, it's a present of mind thing. It's got to be like, if the answer is no, well, maybe I don't do it, I sleep on it, or have an amount. I don't spend more than $100 a day on an item if I didn't wake up this morning wanting it. And like you said, different accounts, and I'd probably turn that up to 11 a little bit, and different banks. So you've got your ANZ accounts with your 3 savings accounts over there that's not on your phone, and then you've got your BNZ account, which is your day-to-day.
Yeah.
To have the segregation on top of the segregation.
It's making things inconvenient, because then you'd have to move it to another account because that's the one linked to your card.
Totally.
That'll take time. By then you've left the shop. So things like that can help.
Finally, and then we'll actually wrap it up. Buying a house versus investing the same money, what is better in 20 years' time? Well, it depends what you invested in. It depends where you bought the house and what type of house it was. What would you say to that?
Don't buy houses in the same neighborhoods I do. So I bought in 2022, and unfortunately hasn't been so good. But if it was in Sydney, it'd be a different story. But 20 years' time, I think the trend is there, but there's a lot of narratives around what the future looks like. Is housing going to be as good as it was in the past, or is stocks better? Is it good to have leverage, with property? These types of conversations come up.
Yeah, I think the house thing, it does come back to a lifestyle thing. It's like, well, do you want to own the house that you live in? Or at least, do you want to have a house that you own with a mortgage? Yeah, I think I do. All right, we'll go buy a house. Done. It's okay because you've made that decision that in my life, I value owning my own home because you got to rent or have a mortgage. Like there's accommodation costs. And if you want it to be a house that you own, we'll do that. I think the best time to buy a house to live in is when you've got the money and you want to and you can afford it. Because the house that you live in, for most people, it's almost they talk about homes being an asset versus liability. For most people, the year on year is the liability because you're spending money on upkeep and whatnot. But if you want to do that and you understand it and you are trying to build wealth on the side or as well, that's also okay.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people are turning towards rent vesting if property is in their portfolio.
Yeah.
There's Luke Kemi's here from New Zealand doing Keep the Change. Really good podcast here, probably similar to what you're doing. And, he's the same boat. He's renting his home. Property isn't part of his portfolio, but he's thinking about it more analytically. Does this make financial sense? That kind of thing. Or at least that's the impression I get from his podcast.
Yeah. Oh, any final comments, Brent? We've had a bit of a yarn.
No, thank you for coming to New Zealand and
My
sharing
pleasure.
your knowledge with everybody.
You are so welcome. Well, everyone, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for coming out, everyone. We'll see you next time. I'm in NZ. Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.